Good afternoon and welcome. It's round two of the $60,000 Coca-Cola 10-pin bowling classic. Jeanette Baker, $60,000 up for grabs, now the business end.
Now we're getting down to the pure dollars and cents end of the tournament, round two.
It's Western Australia up against the Masters. It should be a great contest. Heading the Masters lineup, 52-year-old Gary Bernardin. Second up, the female of the group, Mary Flower. Her nickname is Petal. And third up, John Williams. Current average 196, a game high, the perfect game, 300.
And for Western Australia, they'll be led by their captain, Tom Curry, who's had 23 years' experience in the sport. Tricia Cortez is their second bowler, age 46, 11 years of experience in bowling. And Steve Hart, the baby of the group, age 25, but a current average of 205.
A current average of 205 for Steve Hart. He'll play a big part in this game today. The third member of this strong team from WA. The Masters Championship, Gary Bernardin, first up for the Masters, age 52. Been bowling for 22 years. His first ball of the second round.
The first frame is the worst one. That's the nervous frame. Try and tell yourself, make a good shot, make a good shot. What am I going to do? Am I going to tug it? What am I going to do? You're trying not to think the negative thoughts. But Gary's up there looking at 3 pins in the right-hand corner, going straight for them, and nice cover that time. Good spare, good spare.
Ties him up. Gary Bernardi.
That might be a good sign.
The lead bowler, Western Australia, Tom Curry. Been around bowling for a long time. There's not too many titles he hasn't won nationally here in Australia.
He's had 4 perfect games. Curry looked like a strike to him. He looked absolutely happy with it.
Yeah, he looked confident, but with these high-tech balls, they tend to... We watch this reaction. It just overreacts at the back end, and he's left with that solitary 4-pin in the left-hand corner. Easy spare for a right-hander normally. Tom is not one to take spares lightly either. Lofts it out on the lane and makes sure.
Okay. Ties it up.
All right.
Encouraging the rest of the team, saying, okay, I've opened it, I've done the worst part.
Now it's up to you.
Now you do the job. As John Williams, who has bowled a 300, bowls with Gary Bernardin on a regular basis.
And the appropriate nicknames of Batman and Robin.
Absolutely.
This is Robin. John Williams. That's a go and comes up with the strike. Williams, so open, shows his speed for the crowd. Does that mean he wears his heart on his sleeve?
Well, it seems to be extension, extension, hook. Yes, look at the grimace of the teeth that time. He wants the strike. He wants to get the base going for his team. As we see Steve Hart now getting up, looking for something similar from his side. The advantage Steve has, he's the only one using the left-hand side of the lane in this match.
He's only been bowling for 8 years at 25 years of age. Come on. Steve Hart looking for a strike.
Oh,
can't
look good.
One shy.
Okay.
Goes to show, doesn't it? It looks good, it sounds good, but still 1 pin can remain there. As we see Steve use a lot of the lane, hooks the ball back, just that fraction high, that's all it takes, and leaves a 6-pin. He has all the lane to play with it now to go back and convert this spare, sets himself up, checks his target. And...
Well, you can hear from the ooze of the crowd there.
Surprise, surprise. Even the look on Steve's face shows surprise. It's amazing. The left-hander opening that frame. As we see, it looks okay, and then it just hooks too much at the back end. Taking off, and reactive balls, reaction was there.
It's the sign, the senior citizens, at the moment, at the end of the third frame, they're up by 2. Each over Western Australia. The Coca-Cola 10-pin bowling classic at the Richlands Centre here in Brisbane. Gary Bernardin, the captain, 52 years of age. Bowling for 22 years. Looking for a strike. Kicked his team further away. He thought he had it.
The crowd were riding that one. It was looking good all the way down. But again, just that fraction, perhaps the thumb a little bit too low on release, and causes the 6-pin to just be a little bit down in the gutter. See how it goes down in the gutter and not quite back onto the 10-pin.
Bernardin should pick up this spare, close the plan. He does. The clap of the hands told the story. He's happy.
Right. Hit it.
And now Western Australia coming from behind. Gary's pleased with that. Nice, simple shot.
Tom Curry next up for WA. One of the best bowlers in this country. Really yet to hit his straps. Can he come good here with a strike? Yes, no.
It's high. Once again, it's high. The team are discussing what's going on out there. As we see Tom Curry giving it some room. He thought it was enough room. The reactive ball, but unfortunately the 4-7 in the left-hand corner. Concentrates very, very hard. Oh, yes, got it covered.
Hardy's up the frame.
Well, there's one closed. So after the 2 open frames, Captain Tom Curry for Western Australia converting the spare there and getting the base for the team to make a comeback here.
Mary Flower for the Masters. Comes up to the line.
Actually, Mary changed equipment that time to the last shot that she bowled. She went to a slightly softer case ball, giving it a bit more room, but not quite enough room. So now going for the spare, and this is one thing we must remember with the Masters, is they may not necessarily have the technique for lots of strikes, but they are generally good spare shooters.
Good shot.
And
not a problem.
As Jeanette said, Mary shuts out the frame. And the hoots come from this crowd because the Masters are suburbs around Brisbane. And she was relieved, I think, to get those 2 pins and shut that frame out.
Absolutely. And now Trish Cortez's following the spare in the frame before, showing the intensity, gripping that ball. Ooh, and high once more time. You know, this format
so hard to come by.
Well, the format is so demanding on a player. When you're playing one-on-one, you can get into a routine. The thought pattern doesn't change, and you can just keep rolling and rolling. Whereas when you have to sit down and wait for 5 other players before it's your shot, it's very difficult on the concentration. You must remember what adjustments you've made from one shot to the next. Trish, another spare.
Well covered. Well covered.
So the captain's pleased with that. It's a good cover. And now John Willans had a strike in the 3rd frame, setting himself up, concentrating very hard. And of course, as you can see by what's on his wrist, he's using everything he can to help him to get rotation on the ball. Gets it down early. Oh.
Willans momentarily thought he had his 2nd strike.
Well, it was a little bit early. We called that. So we see it bouncing slightly as it hits the lane. He's standing there.
No.
Not surprised at all that there was the 10-pin standing.
Yeah. So you know.
See him going for the spin, crossing the lane, using all the lane he possibly can. Oh, my goodness me, in the channel.
Well,
so early.
It's hard to imagine that can happen, but it happens quite easily.
Well, that opens things up for WA now, because that's 2 opens apiece from these teams, as we see that shot way, way, way too soon into the channel. Instead of going straight for the pin, he was perhaps allowing for it to hook.
So now Steve Hart for WA has made changes to his game recently. Stack full of potential, this 25-year-old from Perth.
Come on, Steve.
Come on, Steve. 2 pins on the left-hand side.
Shots seem to be just a fraction slow, and when a stroker such as Steve takes a little bit off the speed, it's going to really hook on him. Shaking his head, knowing that that's not where he wants it to be. Change equipment, shoot for the left-hand corner, straighter shot, and nice even cover. So this is the basics of bowling here that we're seeing today, and that is spare shooting is so important. Straighter shot for the left-hand corner to Steve Hart, closing the frame.
With the Masters leading by 12.
Hi, I'm Dick Ritker. Very young bowlers usually cannot take steps and match the swing to bowling. So we have for them what we call bumper bowling. The bumpers allow the ball to stay on the lane and make contact with the pins.
Back to the second round encounter of the Richlands Bowling Centre for the Coca Cola 10-pin Classic, and it's the Masters leading Western Australia by 12.
Gary Bernarden, the lead off for the Masters, looking to consolidate that lead. Up it comes.
Yes! So Bernarden comes up with a big one. They all go tumbling down.
And now we see that shot. Good exponent of down the lane, letting the ball come in, jumping up. His team is excited. That's a good start.
There's no better way to consolidate a lead than with a strike. And now the pressure back on Tom Fury, WA. He needs to come up with a strike. He just can't do it.
He's going high each time. I don't know whether he's got any other equipment that he could possibly be using, but he seems to be just, that ball is just coming back too hard for him at the end and not able to give him the breaking reaction that he's looking for.
He's got to tidy up the 2.
Yes.
Does it with ease.
Nice clean cover. Just needs to give it a little bit more room on that first shot, or otherwise look at if he's got another piece of equipment he can use for the lanes. As Mary Flower steps up, following Gary Bernarden's strike, using a softer case piece of equipment.
Very popular character in the bowling centres around Queensland, Mary Flower. The accurate one. Lets it go.
All right.
Wasn't one of her best.
Mary's been around the ladies circuit for a long time. She's one of the initiators of the ladies circuit here in Queensland, and very, very supportive of bowling. But this time unsuccessful in getting the strike, leaving herself 3 pins to go back and get to convert the spare here in the 8th frame.
Big play by her. They're showing plenty of tick of the Masters.
Well, absolutely. It's a situation where they're in a no-lose situation. They may as well go for every shot and give it the best they can. But it's working by staying clean and converting their spares. They're operating at a good, even pace.
Now, Cortezis to the line for Western Australia. Strikes have been extremely hard to come by. This second round encounter. And a spare's going to be pretty hard to come by in this occasion.
Well, exactly.
Go for it.
Her line, just like Tom, they should have perhaps opened up their line a little bit, made a fraction of an adjustment, give it a little bit more room. That time, too high, leaving the split. Not impossible.
The word from the skipper was, just go for it.
Exactly.
It'll be a great effort. If she can get this spare.
Right idea, right idea.
Couldn't have been much closer, and the crowd appreciate it, even though there's one left.
As we see, it's heading for the channel. Looks good, but 6-pin not quite acute enough to take out, to slide across and take out that 7-pin in the left-hand corner.
Now John Williams looking to make his mark.
Baby split now on the right-hand side. Ball a little bit early. And as we saw from the camera angle, he just tucked it inside his line. Unfortunately, no balance and the baby split.
There was never a smile on the face there. He always knew from the moment it left his hand, he would leave himself some work to do. The baby split, he can't come up with it.
Chopping off one that time. In the 9th frame, which is so important when it comes to matches like this, to get a good solid 9th frame. Opening up an opportunity for Western Australia to get back into this match. Trailing by 16 pins in the 8th frame. A mark, which consists of a strike or a spare in this frame, can close that gap for WA.
Steve Hart with a chance to make himself a hero in WA.
Come on.
Hit the fence back far
Yes.
enough. Certainly it did. So Hart just jumped up the ladder in WA.
Right.
Came up with the necessary strike at the necessary time. And there it is, a light mix, and he's pleased with that reaction.
We'll go to the break. The Masters still leading by 15.
Two of comedy will receive a check for $15,000, plus entry into the $1 million high roller tournament in Las Vegas, staying at the Gold Coast Hotel and Casino, flying Qantas, courtesy of the Australian 10-Pin Bowling Congress.
We're back to the 10th frame of this contest of the Coca-Cola 10-Pin Classic between the Masters, who lead by 15, and WA, but it's all in the balance.
Absolutely. Gary Bernardin, it's up to him as the captain to lead.
Bernardin can't
Crosses over. Crosses over. I mean, the pressure is really on right now. They've bowled 9 frames each team, and yet it comes up to the wire in the 10th frame to see what the result of this game's going to be. Do you think the perspiration might be there?
There's a fair bit of it, but there's a wealth of experience as well. And when it comes down to pressure, that comes to the fore. He tidies up the spare.
No problems on that one.
An old pro.
So by staying clean, easy spare, 3-pin, turns his back well before the pin has been hit by the ball. A sign of confidence from Gary Bernardin.
So will the skipper carry the Masters to victory? Bernardin looking to turn the knife. He does it. Does it with a strike.
Would have been a good place to show the first one. All right.
He's happy with that.
Great shot to finish on, because that's the one the opposition remembers. It's the last shot. Rides it yet again, giving the Masters a final score of 161 in this game. Now the pressure's back on Western Australia and their captain, Tom Curry.
A strike would be no.
He's given it some room. Ooh, too much.
He can't
Too
believe
much
he's
room.
allowed and it hasn't come back.
Well, that's the one that they needed. Given it too much room. A strike there would have meant the match for WA, but now Tom goes to convert the spare. Ooh, which he failed to do.
So the bonus ball won't come into play.
The final score there, Masters 161 to Western Australia 144.
So in another upset, the Masters home over Western Australia from Jeanette and myself will be back.